us before we continue?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Not from the defense.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Teal, please come on up. Going to ask that you retake the stand. And also, sir, I just want to remind you that you do remain under the obligation of the oath that you first took when you entered the stand, okay? Thank you. Go ahead, come on up and have a seat. All right, at this time, I will ask Madam Clerk to please bring in our jury. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'd ask counsel to please stipulate to the return of our jury.
State will stipulate, Your Honor.
Defense stipulates, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Members of our jury, when we adjourned yesterday, state's witness Faison Teal was on the stand. So at this time, we are going to continue with the direct of Mr. Faison Teal. Thank you. I would direct the state to go ahead and proceed.
Just get it there. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yesterday we were talking a little bit about the fight. That you
Yes.
were in. And correct me if I'm wrong. When just before the fight started, where were you standing in the yard of
Yeah,
43 Laurel?
right before the fight started.
Showing you 50. State's 52.
It's right about when before the fight started, we were standing like around this area.
Okay. And when you were standing in that area, who were you close to?
Tyler Rich.
Okay. And were there two individuals on the lawn at the time
Yes.
that were not invited to the party?
Yes, sir.
And those individuals are who?
Tyler Da Silva and Raul Valle.
And out of the both of those individuals, who were you closest to?
Raul Valle.
Okay. And when the fight started, can you tell us what occurred?
What occurred when it started? So Tyler threw a punch, and then after that, it's really not so blurry, but I don't really recall who I was throwing kicks at, but I was involved in the fight.
What kind of kicks were you throwing?
There was like medium-sized kicks. Like there was like a stomping motion. It wasn't hard though.
And at some point in time, did you stop kicking?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you did that, what were you trying to do at that point?
Break up the fight.
And at that point, I think you indicated yesterday that you were amped up, you had adrenaline.
Yeah, a lot of adrenaline flowing through the body.
So, at some point, how long was the fight?
Like 30 seconds.
And after 30 seconds, at some point in time, did you hear anybody scream anything?
No, I did not.
And when the 30 seconds ended, at some point in time, did you have an occasion to realize that you were injured?
Yes.
And tell me about that.
So when I realized I was injured, someone came up to me with a flashlight and they pointed it towards my arm. And when they pointed it, there was like a piece of fat sticking out, like this big giant piece, like just gushy fat, and then just blood like all down the side of my body. So yeah. And then before that, I even noticed I got stabbed. I saw Tommy on the ground, laying in the grass. Like, couldn't move his body at all. And he was just, like, kind of stuck there, like helpless.
What did you notice about Tommy?
His knees was just bleeding, like his whole legs. And he was just laying down there and, like, just, like, helpless. And then when I looked over to the right, I saw Jimmy McGrath. His, like, body was just, like, blood everywhere. And there was Sal and Jacob was just helping him. Yeah.
Did you notice if anybody else was injured?
No, that's all I noticed at that time.
When you realized you were injured and you saw Tommy and Jimmy, what did you do after that?
So when I realized I was injured, I was with my friend Benjamin Catley, and I went into Tyler Rich's bathroom to try to clean me up because there was so much blood on the side of my body. They thought like I might have got stabbed in my side, but that wasn't the case, obviously. So it was me, him, and Danny Rivera in the bathroom, just cleaning myself up, like trying to like figure stuff out, trying to like find something to wrap my arm up with. And then after that, we went back outside, and there was cops there, ambulances there, and that's when they brought Jimmy to the hospital first. Then it was Tommy, and then after that, because at first I wasn't really trying to go to the hospital because I thought I was fine, and I didn't want my parents to get mad at me for like getting stabbed or whatever. But I wasn't trying to go to the hospital. Okay. But then they told me I had to go, so I went after that.
Okay. I'm going to show you. This is State's Exhibit. So I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 60. I think that's where we pretty much ended yesterday.
Yeah.
Show you frame 171. This individual right here with his black shorts on, t-shirt off, and looks like something on top of his head. You know who that is?
Yes, that's me.
And do you know what you're doing at this moment in the fight?
Was definitely throwing some kicks right there at the beginning, and then trying to break it up after.
And can we play the version? Have you watch the regular version of the video?
Yes, sir.
Lightened up version. I want to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
Yes, sir! Come on, let's do it!
Now, the person that yells, yes, sir, do you know who that is?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's Tanner Chernowski.
And who's the person that, after Tanner Chernowski yells, yes, sir, who's the person that says, let's go?
Let's go. That was me.
Okay, you were yelling that?
Yeah.
Why were you yelling?
So, I mean, like the whole, I don't know, it was just what I was saying at the time. Like when I said, let's go, M-word.
Okay.
It's just the way I talk.
Okay. And when you heard in the video, he's got a knife, you didn't hear that?
At that time there, nah, I didn't hear that.
Do you know who said that, having watched the video?
I did not recall.
Okay. Now, when the paramedics arrived, did you in fact end up going to the hospital?
Yes.
And what hospital did you go to?
Griffin Hospital in like Ansonia, Derby.
Okay. And when you got to the hospital, can you tell us a little bit about what treatment you went through?
They just stitched me up. Honestly, I don't really remember much from me actually being at the hospital because I really like kind of blocked it out of my head. But they sent me up there. It was like maybe like I was there. It's like 3, 4 in the morning, maybe. And then after that, I just went home.
If I may approach the witness, sure. Faison, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 70 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State 70?
Yes, I do.
And what is State 70?
That's my arm.
Okay. Is this a fair and accurate picture of your arm the morning of, after you got stitched up?
Yes, sir.
To show you State's Exhibit 71 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 71?
Yes.
And what is 71?
That's also a picture of my arm.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate picture of what the wound looked like stitched up after you left the hospital?
Yes, sir.
And the only difference between 70 and 71 would be what?
The piece of paper over my arm.
It shows the length of the wound?
Yeah, length of the wound. Yeah.
Stay with off this is full exhibit, Your Honor.
What's your reason? All right. Court will accept into evidence dates 70 and 71. Thank you. Full exhibits.
I'm going to show you state 70 that's been marked as a full exhibit. State 70, is that what your wound looked like after your hospital visit, Faison?
Yes, sir.
And state 71, does that show, I guess, the length of the wound
Yes, sir.
on your arm?
Yes, sir.
Faison, do you still have a scar?
Yes, I do.
Can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where that is? It's right here. Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses pointing to his left elbow area?
Attorney Smith, are you able to see you and your client?
I can see, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
And when you received the stab wound that night, you said you had fat hanging out?
Yeah.
How far was it hanging out?
It was like, hey, it was nasty, man. It was like hanging like down to here. Like it was.
And when you went to the hospital, did they have to push it back in?
I don't know. I don't recall like what they did with it.
How long after you got out of the hospital and you received these stitches? How long was your recovery in this case? In relation to your wound?
To my arm. So I had my arm wrapped up and stitched up for about 3 to 4 weeks, give or take. I had slight nerve damage, like nothing too insane, but I did not feel it in my arm for a little bit. It was just numbness. And then for about a year after it all took place, like I could be doing the simplest of things, like going to get a glass of water from the fridge. And my whole arm just like shut down out of nowhere for like just like a split second. Like and just go numb, just come down. I'll just be like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. But not
Does that still happen?
occasionally. It's not as often. Like I'll just say, like literally every once in a blue moon, it will happen.
Now, as a result of being stabbed on May 14th of 2022, have you had any other types of effects? Has this wound had any other types of effects?
Like mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has.
Can you explain how it has mentally affected you?
Man, it was the worst day of my life. Plain and simple. Like,
Why was it the worst day of your life?
never in a million years did I think being at one of my best friend's house, I would get stabbed, or 3 other of my friends would get stabbed, or Jimmy McGrath would die. It's like, even I think about it like every day. Like I try to really mentally block it off from myself because I tried therapy, but that don't work for me. It don't. Like I just couldn't do it. So I just try to like mentally block out everything. Even some days I'm just like thinking to myself like, why him? Like it sounds dark, but I'd be like, it should have been me instead of Jimmy, because you don't see kids on this earth like that. Like just a kid that smile every single time you see him. You don't see that. It's really rare. And it's like, I don't know, man. It affects me every day. Like, I can't even go to church no more like that. I used to go to church all the time. Like, I'm talking pastor, my dad a pastor, all that stuff. That's why I figured out Jimmy died. So I can't go there. Like, even when I try to go, I start messing my head a little bit. I just start thinking about everything. But it just messed me up, man. Like,
Has since May 14th of 2022, has this affected you with regards to your schooling?
yes, it has also. I started at the University of New Haven nearly like 3 months after I went to, after the incident happened. But I like couldn't really do school because all I would think about is what happened for the first year and a half. So I had to drop out and start doing community college for a little bit. Just like get back on my feet, kind of, sort of. But this year I will be going back to the University of New Haven and then hopefully graduate on time. That's a hope. That's a hope. But if I'm in 5th year, it happens. You know, it's normal. It's life. But that's really it. You know, like it was hard in school, man, because I had no one to really talk to about it. Because I didn't want to like even tell people like I was involved, because it like paints a picture that you trying to like get people to feel sorry for you off the rip, and you just meeting new people, you know? So I don't want them to think of me as like like, oh, this is just a kid who just got stabbed, and he's like looking for remorse from all of us, and we just met the kid. So I really just kept it to myself when I first got to the school.
On May 14th of 2022, at Tyler Rich's house, did you have any weapons on you?
No.
Did you use any weapons that night during the fight?
No.
I have no further questions.
All right. Attorney Smith?
Thank you.
Sure.
Good morning, Mr. Teal. How are you?
Doing good. How are you, man?
Good. We've never met before.
No.
I'm just going to go over with you some of your testimony from yesterday and today. If you would, just keep your voice up. You know, we've got these loud fans going here for us. You told us yesterday that you had started the evening at another party, right? That was at Mr. Crespo's house?
Yes.
And that was for a surprise birthday party, right?
Yes, sir.
You thought maybe you'd had 2 beers there or so?
Yeah.
And you thought you got there around 9 o'clock, spent about an hour there, and left around 10, right?
Yes.
And from there, you went over to Tyler Rich's house because you told us that was the regular thing to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you say the regular thing to do, you meant on a weekend night in general, or that month because something special was going
Just
on?
regular thing to do, hang out with your friends. That's it.
And was it a regular thing to go over there and that there would be underage drinking going on?
I wouldn't say it's a regular thing.
No?
Just hanging out.
Okay. So this was unusual to go over there and that there would be drinking going on that
It
night?
wasn't unusual. It's not like it don't happen every single time. Like, I might drink every once in a blue moon, but it's not like every weekend.
Okay. Did you know when you went over there that Mr. Rich's parents weren't going to be there?
Nah, I didn't know.
When you got there, did you discover that Mr. Rich's parents were not there?
No, not really.
You didn't know that because you went straight down into the
Yep.
basement? And you told us you didn't bring any alcohol with you.
No.
You went right into the house.
Yep.
And you'd shown up with Mr. Oko, who drove you,
Yes.
Jacob Villalobos, and Matthew Sanchez.
Moore Sanchez.
I'm sorry?
Matthew Moore Sanchez.
Matthew Moore Sanchez. Is that like hyphenated?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. It might be. I don't know.
You walked into the basement through what we've all heard about, those Belco doors, right?
Yeah.
And people, you said, were just chilling, hanging out, and they were drinking down there, correct?
Yeah, they was drinking.
You yourself hadn't brought any alcohol?
Nah.
There was alcohol provided to you there. You had 2 Bud Lights, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember who gave you those 2 Bud Lights?
Nah, I was just bumming a beer off someone.
Okay. Did you see Aiden King there?
Yeah, I saw Aiden King.
Did he have Bud Lights?
Not that I recall.
And you told us that you think you had maybe as many as 4 drinks, right?
Yes, sir.
It was dark that night?
Yeah, it was nighttime.
Sure. Was it also misty or rainy?
Not that I recall.
You don't recall that?
I don't recall.
And when you got there, you said that no one was outside, right?
No, sir.
When you got down into the basement, how many people were there?
Probably like anywhere between 20 to 30. Give or take.
20 to 30? Do
Yeah.
you remember telling us yesterday that it was maybe less than that? 15 to 20?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay. And you told us that you were really good friends with Tyler Rich.
Yes, sir.
And you're also friends with Jimmy McGrath?
Yes, I was friends with him.
And how did you know Jimmy McGrath?
I knew him just through other people, pretty much. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you he's my best friend in the whole wide world, but he's a really good friend of mine.
You went through a list of folks that were there. It sounded like most of them you either went to school with or you played football with.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair to say? And you identified yourself as having worn a Marvel Duck shirt that night, right?
Yes, sir.
But at some point you told us you'd taken that shirt off.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Do you remember when you took that shirt off?
When I was outside.
Was it before the fight that we saw?
I don't believe so.
It didn't get taken off in the course of that fight, right?
Nah, it was just hot outside.
And you said that Ryan Hines and Griffin Marcinzik showed up, right?
Yep.
And you spoke with them briefly.
Yeah.
So they showed up after you were there, or they were in the basement?
It was after I got there they came.
Okay, so they arrived after you.
Yeah.
And when they got there, you learned that there had been some sort of fight over at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yes.
And you said you were unaware of the basketball group chat?
What group chat?
You don't recall there being a group chat going on that evening?
No.
Griffin Marcinzik or Ryan Hines didn't tell you, hey, we're texting these kids telling them to come over here?
No.
You didn't show up at the house until sometime around 10:30.
Yes, sir.
When you showed up and went down into the basement, nobody was talking about a 5 Lazy Brook?
Not when I got there, no.
That was only after Ryan Hines and Griffin Marcinzik arrived?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you told us yesterday that you learned of that group chat from Tanner Chernowski before these kids arrived, right?
I did not say that.
You don't recall telling us yesterday that you learned about this group chat from Tanner Chernowski before the kids arrived?
I didn't say before which kids arrived.
Before the kids from the 5 Lazy Brook fight arrived in the pilot.
Are you talking? Oh, before that? Yeah, before that, yes.
Before that, you'd learned from Tanner Chernowski
Yeah, from Tanner
that there was
Chernowski.
this group chat going on, right?
I didn't know nothing about a group chat. I just knew they was texting.
Well, that he was texting.
Yeah.
Is your understanding that that's different than a group chat?
I mean, a group chat is when there's a lot of people, but I wasn't really looking for details. You just said they was texting.
Okay, so you didn't know that there was a group chat, so to speak, but you did know that there was texting going on.
Yes.
And you knew that texting, you learned about that from Tanner Chernowski.
Yes, sir.
And you knew that texting involved texting the address of 43 Laurel Glen Drive to these other kids, correct?
No, sir.
What was your understanding of what that texting involved?
I just knew they were talking to someone else.
You knew they were talking in a polite, friendly fashion with someone else?
I had no idea, sir.
They didn't tell you what they were texting? They just said, hey, we're texting?
I don't recall.
You don't recall what they were texting?
No, sir.
So Tanner Chernowski told you that they were texting someone, but he didn't tell you what that had anything to do with?
No, sir.
And you said that then, shortly thereafter, Griffin and Ryan arrived, some people that were not invited showed up, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's your testimony that you didn't know that, in fact, they had been told to come to that address by these people that were texting them.
I had no idea.
And then you told us you saw that somebody had McDonald's. Who was that?
I heard that they had McDonald's.
You heard that the people that had showed up in the car had McDonald's?
Yeah.
Do you remember who told you that?
No, sir.
Okay. But you told us you're a hungry guy, and that McDonald's drew you out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you walked through the driveway and across, and the car that you described as having showed up, that was across the street, correct?
Yes, sir.
Close to the right-hand curb of the other side of the street, right?
Yes, sir.
And you told us you didn't recall which way it was facing, though.
No, I did not.
And when you went outside, you were with Tyler Richards, correct?
Yes.
And then you said 5 to 7 other people, but yesterday you couldn't remember who any of those people were other than Tyler Richards. Do you remember who any of those folks were now?
No, sir.
And that ultimately, you and those 5 to 7 other people were then joined by more people, correct?
Where, like, outside by the car?
When you went outside,
Yeah, by the car. Like, well, at what point?
near the car?
Repeat the question for me?
Sure. So we're talking about now when you've gone outside and you're with Tyler Richards, right?
Yeah.
5 to 7 other people.
Yep.
You've seen this car that you've described for us as being across the street.
Yeah.
And you said that it was your understanding that those people had not been invited.
Yes.
So that's where we are now.
Okay.
You and these 5 to 7 other people, where are you standing at this point?
I was near the driver's side.
You were near the car, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, you told us that you were right next to it, right? You got pretty close.
Yeah, I got pretty close.
And then you were joined by more people, correct?
It was, like, not really. Like,
Okay. You don't remember telling us yesterday that you had been joined by more people?
now we were outside by the car. No, I don't recall that.
Okay. When you're outside by the car, it was just you and 5 to 7 other people?
I believe so, yes.
Where were the rest of the people that were at the party?
They were out. Some people were outside, but they was really just standing on the grass.
They were just standing on the grass?
Yeah.
So, just you and maybe 5 to 7 other people are by the car?
Yes.
Not any other people joined you?
No.
Okay. You looked into the car and you said there were 4 people inside, correct?
Yes.
And you recognized Mackenzie Trafficante because you knew her from middle school.
Yep.
And you talked with the driver, right?
I don't believe so, no.
You don't recall telling us yesterday you conversed with the driver and you were asking him about McDonald's?
I didn't say that.
Okay. Did you ask anybody about McDonald's?
Yeah, well, when I came to the car first, I was like, I asked, like, y'all got McDonald's or whatever. But then after that, I was really just telling them to leave.
Okay. Who did you ask about y'all have McDonald's?
At the time, I didn't know who the driver was, but now I know it's Jack Snyder.
Okay. So you did ask the driver about McDonald's, right?
Yeah, I asked somebody in the car.
Well, was it the driver, sir, or was it somebody else?
It was the driver.
Oh, it was the driver.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they said, no, we don't have any McDonald's, and you backed off, right?
Yeah,
But
pretty
you were
much.
still near the car at that point.
Yes, sir.
And at that point, you hadn't been joined by anybody else. It was just you and these 5 to 7 other folks.
Yes, sir.
So that's you, Tyler Richards, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's 2. And you can't remember who the other
No, I do not
5 to
recall.
6 people were.
I don't recall.
You said you observed some arguing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who was arguing?
I do not recall.
You said you got closer, correct?
I do not recall.
Right. And you screamed, y'all got to leave, y'all got to dip, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do remember that part that you told us yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You don't remember who it was that was arguing or telling us that you got closer, though.
What, bro? Repeat the statement.
You don't remember telling us yesterday that you had gotten closer to the car after you observed the arguing.
I do not recall.
Okay. And you said that the vehicle wasn't moving, right?
No, not at first.
And then these people that were near the car, which you've described now as being just 5 to 7 people, they started rocking the car, right?
Yeah.
They had their hands on the car?
Yep.
You're sure it was just 5 to 7 at that point?
Yes, sir.
Nobody else had peeled off with you to go stand back and away from the car?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember who those 5 to 7 were?
I do not recall.
Was Tyler Richards one of them?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you do recall that it was Tyler Richards who was one of those people?
You already asked me that.
Sir, I'm asking you now. You just told us before that you didn't recall who any of those 5 to 7 were.
You asked me, besides Tyler Rich, do you remember any of those people? And I said, I do not recall.
I was trying to figure out who is still around that vehicle. You've now told us that you moved away from the car, correct?
No, I said I stepped a little bit away from the vehicle.
Right. Leaving at least Tyler Richards there by the car, correct?
Yes.
But you can't remember who any of the other people
No, I do not recall.
Okay. And you saw Tyler Richards do what near the car?
I do not recall.
So you don't recall seeing Tyler Richards reach in to the front driver's side window,
No, I do not recall.
and you don't recall who it was that was rocking the car, but you would agree that there was rocking of the car going on.
Yes, sir.
And you said that at some point the vehicle went down the road towards Farmhouse Lane, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then back towards Adams, right?
Yes. Like
The
back.
car went back and forth, and people were chasing it, right?
Yep.
And the Shelton High kids, they were throwing things at the car, you told us.
Yeah.
You don't recall anything being thrown from the car, correct?
No, I don't recall that.
And you heard something hit the car and heard it shatter, right?
Yeah. Like a bang sound.
But you don't recall seeing what that was. that hit the
Nah,
car.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see anybody throw anything at the car that you could identify who that was.
No, sir.
You said at some point the car stopped driving back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And that there were some people over there a bit further away, closer to Farmhouse Lane at that point, right?
I do not recall.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 1. Put it right there behind you. You recall looking at that yesterday? And you recall telling us that the car stopped driving back and forth, and there were some people over there a bit further away, closer to Farmhouse Lane. Do you see Farmhouse Lane on that exhibit? Okay. Do you remember telling us that yesterday? Okay.
Yes, I
And-
do remember saying that.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I do remember saying that.
Okay. And that you were still at this point on the side of the road by 43 Laurel Glen Drive, where that red marker is on the Exhibit 1, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that everybody started coming back to the house, and you stayed outside, right?
Yeah.
And you watched as friends of yours went down the street, correct?
Yeah.
But you weren't with them, right?
No, sir.
You stayed there at 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes, sir.
Just looking down the street to see
Yes,
what was
sir.
going on. And those people, they were about 2 football fields away. Is that fair to say?
I do not recall. Two football.
You're a football player, correct?
Of course I am.
Okay. Well, when you looked down that way, did it seem like it was maybe about 2 football fields away?
No, I don't
No.
recall.
How close did it seem to you?
I do not recall. It was like down the street.
Okay. You can't put a distance on it?
No.
Okay. Did you hear anything when you saw your friends go down the street?
No, sir.
You didn't hear anything being thrown, any threats being shouted, anything like that?
No, sir.
You didn't see anything being thrown?
No, sir.
Did you see anybody get out of the car?
No, sir.
At some point, these folks who had gone down there, how many people do you think went down the street?
Maybe like 5, if that.
Was it the same 5 that had remained around the vehicle?
I don't recall.
But at some point, these people came back, you said, and you dapped them up and high-fived them, right?
Yeah.
For running people off, you said.
I did not say that. I was just
You
dapping them
didn't
up.
tell us yesterday that you dapped
Oh,
them
yeah,
up and
like,
high-fived
yeah,
them
from
for
like,
running people off?
Yeah, like away from the property, yes.
Okay. Well, why'd you say you didn't say that?
But just the way you worded it. That's it.
And then you remained outside, correct?
Yes, sir.
You never went back into the basement.
No, sir.
But most of the other folks did go back in the basement, right?
Yes.
Was anybody else outside with you at this point?
It was like me, Rich, trying to think. Or Ty Wood was out there with us, definitely. Who showed? I don't recall after that.
But you, Tyler Rich, and Ty Woods at least stayed
Yeah,
outside, didn't
yeah.
go back into the house.
Yeah, nah.
And you told us at some point that this car returned, this Honda Pilot, right?
Yes, sir.
And you and Tyler Rich were still outside when that happened?
Yes, sir.
And did Tyler Rich say, "They're back"?
I do not recall.
You don't recall hearing anybody say they're back?
I don't recall.
Do you recall hearing anybody say anything?
Not really, no.
And you said 2 people got out and they came up to you, right?
Yes.
And that was in that area that you described for us near the cement box by the tree that's now there,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And at that point, you told us that Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva got out of the car, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall where Mr. De Silva got out of the car from?
The car?
Passenger side, back seat?
I do
anything like
not
that?
recall.
But you do recall that he was wearing a baseball jersey.
Yes, sir.
And you said they approached and they looked like they were trying to start a problem, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean by they looked like they were trying to start a problem?
I mean, when you could just like tell when somebody's walking up at a place they're not supposed to be, and it's a way somebody look.
Okay. How did they look?
Just like ready to start an issue, bro. Like I don't know like how you want me to describe it. Like they didn't like look like they was coming like cheery, like mad friendly, like hey guys, how you doing? Like they wasn't like that or anything. Like they just came. Like you can just tell by their demeanor if you're able to read a person.
Did they come running at you?
Nah.
Did they have their fists up?
Nah.
Did you see a knife?
No, I didn't see no knife.
Did you see Mr. De Silva approach Mr. Richards?
Yes, sir.
Rich, sorry. And was he talking to Mr. Rich?
Yeah, they was talking.
And did it appear to be civil?
Yeah. Like at first, kind of, sort of. Then
How many people were in the yard at that point?
at that point in time, I would say like 5 to 10, like in the yard.
At some point, you were joined by everybody that had been inside the house, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of people outside.
There was a lot of people outside?
Yes, sir.
How many?
About like 20 to 30.
And those 20 to 30 started to encircle Mr. De Silva and Mr. Valle, right?
No, sir.
No, sir?
Nah,
What did they do?
they was outside chilling.
They were just outside chilling,
Yep, observing the scene.
observing the scene
Yeah, like just like watching from the grass. Like,
quietly?
yeah, pretty much.
Did you see anybody with their cameras out?
No,
Didn't see anybody recording anything?
nope,
Didn't see anybody with flashlights?
nope.
You said that Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva were not close to you, correct?
At first they weren't. No.
You heard somebody say that they were looking for Aiden King, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you see Aiden King anywhere?
Not at the time. No.
And at that point, you told us you moved to the front of this group.
Yes, sir.
How did you move to the front of the group that was just milling around and chilling?
Nah. All right, boom. You want me to show you?
I'd like you to describe it if you
I
could.
mean, I could describe it to you. I was a bit in the back. Then I heard them saying they was looking for Aiden King. So I came to the front.
You were in the back of who?
And I don't recall who, but I was just like, I wasn't standing like toe to toe at first. Like I was just like a little off to the back.
But you had to move around some people in order to get to the front?
Maybe like 1 or 2 people, yeah.
Just 1 or 2 people?
Sure.
I'm sorry?
I said yes.
Do you think it might have been more?
No.
No, you think it was only 1 or 2?
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva were only 2 feet apart, correct?
Yeah.
Was Mr. Valle behind Mr. De Silva?
I do not recall.
Was Mr. Valle beside Mr. Rich?
I do not recall.
And you told us you were closer to Mr. Valle and you said y'all got to leave, right?
Yeah.
You also said, as you told officers, but you haven't told us here, my friends are crazy, they get rowdy, right?
I don't recall saying that.
You don't recall telling that to Detective Bango on June 8th of 2022?
No, I do not recall that.
And you don't recall saying to Mr. Valle, my friends are crazy, they get rowdy, y'all need to leave?
No, I do not recall that.
Would you describe your friends as being crazy and getting rowdy?
No.
No.
Nah.
You said somebody was arguing with Tyler Rich, right?
Yeah.
Who was arguing with Tyler Rich?
I don't recall.
There were only 2 people that got out of that car. You don't recall who was arguing with Tyler Rich?
Oh.
How close were you to Tyler Rich when this happened?
I was fairly close to him.
And you said the arguing lasted about 30 seconds.
Yeah, if that, like maybe 20.
And that then a punch was thrown by Tyler Rich, right?
Yes, sir.
And you don't recall why he threw that punch, right?
No, sir.
You didn't see Mr. Valle do anything to attack Mr. Rich, did you?
I do not recall.
You didn't see Mr. Valle do anything to attack you, did you?
I don't recall.
You didn't see Mr. Valle do anything to attack anybody at that point, did you?
I don't recall.
You don't recall why Mr. Rich decided to punch him, but it wasn't because you saw Mr. Valle do anything to Mr. Rich or anybody else at that point.
I don't recall.
Well, did you see Mr. Valle do anything to anybody at that point?
I don't recall.
But you recall seeing Mr. Valle,
Yes, sir.
but you don't recall what you saw him do.
Nope.
You do recall, however, somebody saying, "Where's Aiden? That's my boy. I want to talk to him."
Yeah, I recall that.
But you don't recall telling the officers that someone threw a punch, but you didn't know who it was.
I do. Wait, what? Restate the statement.
You're telling us that you saw Tyler Rich throw the punch, but you didn't tell officers that when you spoke to them, right? You said, "I don't know, someone threw a punch, but I don't know who it is."
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that. And you recall that then Tyler De Silva got hit, correct?
Yeah.
Who hit Tyler De Silva?
Tyler Rich.
Tyler Rich hit Tyler De Silva?
Yeah.
And Raul Valle?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did Tyler Rich hit both of them?
I don't recall.
You do recall, however, telling us that Tyler De Silva went to the ground near the tree, right?
Yeah.
And you told us that you participated in this, correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't tell the officers that you participated in this when you spoke to them, did you?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall telling officers that you participated in kicking and stomping?
I don't recall.
Do you recall talking to the officers?
Yeah.
But you
A
don't
little.
recall telling them whether or not you were involved, right?
I don't recall, sir.
Because you didn't tell them that you were involved, right?
I don't recall.
And you told us that you were throwing some kicks, what you described as stomps, right?
Yes, sir.
You described those as being not too hard, right?
Nah.
Love taps.
Yeah, something like that.
And then today you said, well, maybe those were medium kicks, right?
Same wording, sir.
Not quite the same words. Not too hard, medium. Could they have been hard kicks?
No.
No. When you were throwing those kicks, were you telling anybody, hey, these are just soft kicks, don't worry about these kicks?
I don't recall.
Were you saying, hey, these are just medium stomps, don't worry about these stomps? I'm going to stop in just a second.
I don't recall that.
No. You don't recall that because you didn't say that, right? You said,
Yeah.
let's go. And then as you described it, inward, right?
Yes, I did.
That was directed at the person that you were stomping, right?
I was just saying that. That's just the way I talk.
Just regularly as you're walking about, that's the kind of thing that you just say?
I mean,
Let's go inward. Just talking to the ether.
I mean, I can say that word whenever I want.
I imagine that you could.
Yeah.
Anybody could. I'm asking you in this particular situation, you were not directing that at the person that you were kicking?
Yeah, I was directing it towards him.
You were directing it towards him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why didn't you tell me that the first time when I asked?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean?
The first time I asked you if you were directing that at the person that you were kicking, you told me you didn't recall. Now you recall?
Sure. Yeah.
Fact of the matter is, Mr. Teal, you're telling us here today things that you didn't admit to when you had the opportunity to before, when you spoke with officers. Would you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree on that.
You wouldn't agree. You've told all of this to the officers, that you were involved in the kicking and the stomping.
No, I didn't really tell him anything, bro.
You didn't tell that to officers, right?
No, sir.
Not when you talked to him on the 15th, correct?
No, sir.
Not when you talked to him on June 8th, correct?
Sure. Yeah, I don't even...
And at some point you said you stopped kicking, right?
Yeah.
And you decided at that time that it was time to start breaking up the fight, right?
Yeah.
And you thought that perhaps you had gotten cut when you were trying to take someone off the top of Tommy Connery, right?
I don't recall saying that.
You don't recall telling that to the officers that you were trying to take someone off the top of Tommy Connery and that might be when you got cut?
I don't recall saying that.
Do you recall taking Tommy Connery off the top?
I don't recall.
You don't recall having any interactions with Tommy Connery?
I don't recall. Besides, when I saw him after, that's why I can tell you I remember.
You don't recall being stabbed, correct?
No, like in that moment of time, no.
Because you had so much adrenaline going at that point, right?
Yes, sir.
A lot of adrenaline going when you were throwing those kicks, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you were throwing those kicks and you were saying the things that you were saying, were you trying to scare the person that was on the ground?
I wouldn't say scared. It was, it was a fight.
It was a fight?
Yes, sir.
How many of you were fighting the person that was on the ground?
3 to 4.
That's it?
That's it.
And what were the other 17 or 18 people doing?
Observing.
You recall seeing Jimmy McGrath there that evening at the party, correct?
Yes, sir.
You don't recall where he was during the course of the fight in the front yard, do you?
No, I do not recall.
He wasn't one of the people you believe that was there with you, the 3 or 4 people kicking and fighting that person on the ground?
I do not recall.
The person that was on the ground, was that Tyler De Silva
Yes.
that you were fighting?
Yes.
You don't recall who the other people were there that were with you while you were stomping him?
No, I don't recall.
These folks that were at this party with you that night at 43 Laurel Glen Drive, these were all good friends of yours, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
And you would do anything to protect these friends of yours, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to see anything damage their reputations or their memories. Is that fair to say?
Objection, relevance.
I'll allow it. Overruled.
You can answer, sir.
Restate the question for me.
You wouldn't want to see anything done to damage their reputations or their memories, correct?
Yeah, no.
And so today you've come in here and you've testified to us. And you would agree that you can't recall a large amount of what happened that evening, correct?
To a certain extent, yeah.
And that extent to which you can't recall involves what your friends were doing that night, right?
No. This is really the who.
I'm sorry?
This is really the who, like, where was they standing and stuff like that.
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Any redirect?
Faison,
Yeah.
counsel just asked you whether or not you can recall the things that your friends were doing around you that night. You said you can't recall, right?
Oh,
Can you recall what you were doing that night?
yeah.
And is that what you told us in
Yeah.
your testimony today?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything on that limited draft?
Nothing further.
All right, very good. All right, Mr. Teal, you relieved. All right. Please watch your step as you exit the witness box. And I think this is a good point to go ahead and take our 15-minute recess. So we're going to take an earlier 15-minute recess today and then come back with the next witness. So court is going to stand in recess for 15 minutes. Thank you.